Research identifies key driver for infanticide among chimpanzees. Research conducted by the University of Kent has suggested that the sexual selection hypothesis for infanticide may be the key driver for the high rate of infant killings among a community of chimpanzees in Uganda. Led by PhD student Adriana Lowe and Dr. Nicholas Newton Fisher from Kent's Living Primates Group, the research team analyzed the records of infanticides and failed attempts at infanticide over a 24-year period in the Sanso community of chimpanzees in the Budongo forest. While relatively rare, infanticide is well documented in chimpanzees, but those in the Sanso community are more prone to practice it than others that have been studied, with infanticide the most common cause of infant death there. However, although various explanations have been proposed, this study is the first to thoroughly investigate the phenomenon. For the study, the team analyzed 33 attacks on 30 victims from a single community of chimpanzees between 1993 and 2017. From this they were able to determine that 11 of the attacks were definite infanticides, 4 almost certain, 9 suspected, and 9 attempted. Most attacks were by adult males, and the victims were often very young, 2/3 were under 1 week old. The team also noted incidents of partial cannibalism. From their analysis and observations they concluded that the sexual selection hypothesis, the idea that male chimpanzees will kill infants other than their own so they have a better chance of fathering the mother's next infant, was the main reason for the high rates of infanticide. For example, females who lost an infant to infanticide conceived on average around 7 times more quickly than if their infant had survived, with the majority of mothers who lost infants going on to reproduce again within the community. The team found no evidence to suggest that infanticide was part of a male strategy to eliminate future competitors. Dr. Newton Fisher, who has studied infanticide in the Sanso community since the 1990s, said, "Sexually selected infanticide involves the reduction in time until the mother is free to mate again that a male could bring about by killing her present infant. However, we did identify examples of infanticide by females. Although rare, in those cases we suggest that they may use infanticide to drive away rival mothers, who would otherwise compete with them for food. We also discovered rare occurrences of partial cannibalism within the community, suggesting meat acquisition was a byproduct of the infanticide." The report, Intra-Community Infanticide in Wild Eastern Chimpanzees, a 24-year review, Adriana Lowe and Nicholas Newton Fisher, University of Kent, Catherine Hobalter, St. Andrews University, Carolina Silmway, Budongo Conservation Field Station, Uganda, and Klaus Zuberbuehler, Institute of Biology, Neuchâtel, Switzerland, is published in the journal Primates. Sweeping census provides new population estimate for Western chimpanzees. A sweeping new census published in the journal Environmental Research Letters estimates 52,800 Western chimpanzees, pan-troglodytes burus, live in 8 countries in Western Africa, with most of them found outside of protected areas, some of which are threatened by intense development pressures. The authors used IUCN's Ape Populations, Environments and Surveys (APES) database, collating 58 survey datasets, 3/4 of which were unpublished, for the entire range of Western chimpanzees. Using these data, the authors created a density and distribution map to look at trends and to identify drivers of those trends. Effort expended in the field totaled almost 11,000 kilometers of foot surveys between 2001 and 2016. Similar to results published last year by WCS on central chimpanzees and western lowland gorillas, the vast majority, estimated at around 52,000 individuals, live outside protected areas, and 10% of those live in areas that will be highly modified in the near future for development corridors. The development corridors are large infrastructure projects aimed to promote economic integration and agriculture expansion, but are likely to cause further habitat loss and reduce population connectivity. One way to reduce this environmental damage would be that developers of new infrastructure projects use these data to plan well ahead to avoid the most critical areas for these species and then take determined actions to minimize, restore, and offset any remaining impacts following guidance suggested by the Business and Biodiversity Offsets Program, BBOP. The study is led by Stephanie Heinecke of the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology and included WCS co-authors Terry B. Rncic and Fiona Maisels. BRNCIC ran a wildlife survey of an entire country, Sierra Leone, while Maisels co-wrote the IUCN Best Practices Guidelines for Surveying Great Apes, which were used in many of the surveys included in this paper. The authors say the collation, curation, and long-term nature of taxon-specific databases is vital to studying and understanding trends in wildlife populations. The APES database is just such a tool, but the conservation world needs more of them, and for them to be well-funded in perpetuity. Said Maisels, this paper is a good example of how a well-designed taxon-specific database, in this case the IUCN's APES database, is a powerful tool for drawing together numerous datasets in order to assess the status, distribution, and trend of an entire subspecies. Very few such databases exist, and the paper makes a call for more of them to be created, and, importantly, for these new ones and the existing ones to be better funded.